Raise your hand and raise it high if you're familiar with the World Wide Technology Raceway. Not many hands I see. I see a few obviously because of its successful run with IndyCar, but it's understandable since the track has been looked over as a great racing facility for decades until now. The Enjoy Illinois 300 will make the state of Illinois enjoyable for once as the WWT Raceway's first chance to shine on NASCAR center stage. It is going to be a big race with the NASCAR Cup Series coming to town. So who's the favorites? Who's going to win the race? And what type of racing are we going to see? NRF proudly presents the spotter's guide to the first NASCAR Cup Series race in St. Louis, the Enjoy Illinois 300. So to understand the history of this racetrack and its configuration, we have to go back to the 90s. This decade was the NASCAR equivalent to the new ballpark wave, where all across the country racetracks were being built. New Hampshire, Homestead, Texas, Las Vegas, Kentucky, Kansas, and Chicago all opened or were in development at that time. And because of the success of tracks like Charlotte and Atlanta, little creativity came to mind when designing these tracks. Gateway's new owner, Chris Pock, thought outside the box. Overhauling Gateway's road course configuration in its entirety, he scrapped the whole thing to create a 1.25-mile oval to lure in some huge marquee racing events. It's a track that has stood the test of time, whether it was the issues with ownership or all the way back in 1997 when the racetrack came apart. Configuration-wise, think of it as a flat Darlington. As you got turns 1 and 2, they are a tighter corner to get through compared to the much wider turns, which is turn 3 and turn 4 obviously, and that was done to make the backstretch parallel to Illinois Route 203. Obviously, this is the exit that separates the Pilot Flying J Center and the World Wide Technology Raceway. Now racing-wise, it is awfully reminiscent to the old Phoenix with its 11-degree banking in turns 1 and 2 and its 9-degree bank turns in turn 3 and turn 4. Now what makes it stand apart from that Avondale, Arizona Speedway, and that is of course the fact that it doesn't have that crazy dogleg for drivers to dive bomb the crap out of each other. And it is also bigger than Phoenix, which means drivers they are going to carry a lot more speed on the front straightaways and the back straightaway, and that is going to allow them to set up passes much easier than at a track like Phoenix. Really, the only critique of this place is that it is extremely hard to make passes on the outside. As for the 2018 and 2019 races, Gateway saw a couple years before that this was an issue, and they decided to experiment a little by putting a bit of PJ1 traction compound on the middle groove, which resulted in a racier race than normal. However, when you look at Texas and how overdoing it on PJ1 completely destroyed the racing there, and considering that Curtis Francois has seen that happen with both NASCAR and IndyCar, I doubt he does anything like that again. And I think that is a valid thing to do because Gateway has a track record of producing moments without PJ1 traction compound. We've seen this throughout its history. Yeah, believe it or not, this racetrack never had a cup race, but they have had some memorable moments in its 20-ish year run. As you got 2009, I remember this race to heart. As you have Matt Crafton, he's going for the win. He decides to dive bomb both Todd Bodine and Ron Hornaday, the two dominant trucks of the day, and that was a memorable moment. And Mike Skinner ended up stealing that win to mark as his final NASCAR sanctioned win. And then you had 2010, the Missouri-Illinois Dodge Dealers 250, where Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards, they were going door to door. Carl Edwards, they're racing side by side, and he decides to get a little payback on Brad Keselowski, turns him into the wall, and wins at his home track. And then you had the final laps of the Gateway International Raceway, which was under the Dover Motorsports ownership. As you had Brad Keselowski, Mike Bliss, they were duking it out, as well as Justin Allgaier. An insane finish, an insane overtime to end that run. So it is clear that World Wide Technology Raceway, it can put on some good races. It is not a total snoozer like Texas or Kentucky, and I think that is going to bode well. So now we're going to look into the guys that are going to be competing for this inaugural victory. It's going to be a huge trophy if they can get it. And believe it or not, it's hard to believe considering that they have not had Xfinity in forever. They have never had a cup race, yet a lot of drivers have already raced at the World Wide Technology Raceway, whether it was under the Gateway International Raceway banner or in this current iteration with the Truck Series. One of the drivers that knows this track like the back of his hand is Kevin Harvick, and this begs the question right here. Could this finally be the race where Kevin Harvick stops the leading? Not only is he considered a favorite because of how similar Gateway is to Phoenix, the track he should take full ownership of if ISC ever decides to sell it. But you also got to keep in mind, he's a two-time winner of the Gateway 250, and he was the final Truck Series winner under the Dover Motorsports ownership. Kevin Harvick and flat ovals are a perfect concoction, and could Kevin Harvick do that with Victory Lane, especially in Anheuser-Busch's backyard? We'll have to find that out, and I think in this situation, Kevin Harvick might be a bit better than what we've seen out of him in the past year and a half. Or what about Kyle Busch? This guy's the thing. You know the thing when it comes to inaugural races, as he won Kentucky, the first Cup race back in 2011. And considering how many tracks this guy has mastered, it is no surprise that KFB has also won a race at Gateway. He did it in 2009 in dominant fashion during his fantastic 2009 Nationwide Series season. I think the one issue with Kyle Busch, when you look at Phoenix, he hasn't done spectacular there since 2019, where he absolutely dominated, and obviously the 2018 race in the playoffs. So that might be the really only negative towards Kyle Busch in this race, but I think with his experience, with his clutchness in these type of events, he's going to be a guy to look out for. And how about we round out the big three with Martin Truex Jr.? Why not? Because this guy, his first ever start in a Busch Series car at the time at the Gateway International Raceway, it was successful, as he ended up leading 123 laps to nab his first victory in St. Louis. In many ways, he would be considered a favorite for this weekend, considering his performance at Phoenix last year, where he ended up winning the spring race and then finished second. He was oh so close to winning his second championship, coming up short to Kyle Larson. However, with his next generation car, MTJ has struggled a bit. We haven't seen that dominant force that we are accustomed to seeing from this 2017 NASCAR Cup Series champion, and at Phoenix earlier this spring, he was mid-pack most of the race, got into a wreck because of a blown tire, and finished pretty poorly. So those are the big players, the favorites from the old guard, the Gateway International Raceway days. Now let's look at the drivers that raced trucks here, whether it was the Gateway Motorsports Park or the World Wide Technology Raceway, on their rise to the top of the ladder. It's hard to overlook Chase Briscoe, considering the last time he raced on a flat intermediate, he made history as the 200th winner in NASCAR Cup Series history. And it's safe to say, based on that and his one trip to Gateway where he won the pole and dominated the 160 lap event, before John Hunter Nemechek outdueled him in that final stage, he is going to be a guy to look out for. And considering what we've seen from him at the Bristol Dirt Race and what we saw in last Sunday's Coca-Cola 600, he is going to go for broke. He's going to do everything to win this race. And that is why, if you're looking for a genuine racer, a guy that's going to put it all on the line, this is the guy to look out for, because he is going to give it everything to win this first Enjoy Illinois 300. And how about his teammate Cole Custer? As I know he doesn't have a lot of fans, but he had a lot here for the 2015 truck race after he visited the GM assembly plant in Wentzville, Missouri. And with his own cheering section in the grandstands, he was able to fend off future Rookie of the Year foe Tyler Reddick in many ways to steal a win from him after he missed a shift on the final restart. Cole Custer so far has been a bust in the NASCAR Cup Series, but this right here could be the weekend where he turns it around, and he is going to have again the St. Louis crowd rallying around him, considering that he is going to throw out the first pitch on NASCAR night at Busch Stadium. The St. Louis Cardinals, they have a loyal fan base, and I'm telling you, he's going to have a lot of fans on Sunday. Maybe that can help him turn around his season and his Cup career. And I know we don't think about this guy as a potential winner too often, but how about Bubba Wallace? He's coming back to a racetrack where he has won before, as this was in the 2014 Gateway Truck Race, where he capitalized on Herman Quiroga and Eric Jones getting into it to get the first victory for himself in St. Louis. Considering that 2311 Racing has stepped it up in terms of performance, this might be a good chance for Bubba Wallace to clinch his spot in the playoffs along with Kurt Busch, although he has to deal with the horrible experience known as the 2311 Racing Pit Road experience. That might end up costing him in this race. Before I get to my favorite from this group, I want to take a look at Justin Haley and Todd Gilliland. Justin Haley this season, he has been a shining star for Kaulig, and if it weren't for his pit crew forcing Trent Owens into 2 month-long vacations, he could be right there in the playoff battle. Gateway is one of the tracks he's won at. He won here in 2018. If he can keep the momentum, if that 31 car cannot have any mistakes, I think he's going to have a good run on Sunday. Meanwhile, we get to rookie Todd Gilliland, as he, on the other hand, had one of the most dominant races here in 2020, and he looked almost unstoppable until Sheldon Creed decided to shove him up into the marbles and took him out of the race. No worries for Gilliland this time, as Creed will be 2,000 miles away in Portland, so I expect him to have a great run in that rude Busch car, and hopefully his spotters can have some good fortune this time, because that car looks awfully similar to the one that Ryan Blaney is going to be running in this same race. That leads me into the Watermelon Man, Ross Chastain. This guy in 2022 has been fast almost everywhere he's raced. Phoenix, he probably should have won that race, but Chase Briscoe outdueled him. He got second, just not enough, but he's shown that he has the speed. And plus, remember the last time he raced here at World Wide Technology Raceway? He came into Gateway with his back against the wall after he was given a red dilly bar from NASCAR the week before. That is a race that everyone remembers, not only because he had racing redemption at his hands. The wheel is still and perfect, and he ended up doing it at Gateway, but it was a race that changed his season. Maybe this is that one race akin to Kyle Larson in 2021 where he goes out, dominates, and ends up solidifying himself as the championship favorite in this NASCAR Cup Series season, and considering the configuration, considering the history, I think he has a good shot to do it. Finally, we get to the guys who have not had experience at the World Wide Technology Raceway. It is a slim list, but believe it or not, 3 of the 4 Hendrick drivers have never raced here. And I take it is going to be an awkward week at the Chevrolet Simulator facility when you've got Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and Alex Bowman all gathered around the rig to learn from Jack Wood. This weekend might be a bit of a challenge for those drivers, but then again, we're talking about young money, Kyle Larson. I don't think he cares. You look at what he did in 2020, where he sat on the couch the entire year, basically did nothing, and then that next season instantly becomes the champion. And he did that at the Phoenix Raceway, where he had a great restart, capitalized, and ended up winning the championship. So he's good at these flat racetracks. And Kyle Larson, the last couple weeks, his team is starting to heat up. However, he may not be the favorite from Hendrick Motorsports, as I want to look at Chase Elliott. His performance in the Phoenix race this spring, it was close to lights out. Chase ended up winning that race, Chase Briscoe, after Elliott didn't get the restart he wanted, and without the clean air, it just made it harder and harder to reclaim that dominance. He probably should have more Phoenix wins other than the one that clinched the 2020 championship, and I think that is something that is really going to kind of ease this tension of going into a new facility. He's never been here, he's never raced here, yet he has the experience, the success at these flat ovals, ones that race similar to Phoenix, and I think that's going to help him in a big way this weekend in the Hooters car. And finally, we get to the race lengths, as believe it or not, this is a 300-mile race. I know a lot of people, myself included, were surprised that it was this short. However, when you look at the Busch Series in 1997, they ran a 300-mile race here. It turned out to be pretty long. A lot of the drivers were advocating for this to be a shorter race, and I think that's the reason why we are seeing a 300-mile event. As for the stages, stage 1 is 45 laps, and I think they did this because there is not going to be a lot of practice, and this is going to act more as a competition caution to get a feel for the racetrack. Stage 2 is going to be much longer at 95 laps, and then we get to the final stage for all the marbles, 100 laps. You're going to see these guys slipping and sliding because the weather is going to be absolutely fantastic. I know there's a lot of competitive drivers, there's a lot of competitive teams. It's really anyone's race, but I think it is going to be Ross Chastain for Trackhouse that's going to get it done. He has the experience at this facility. Trackhouse has shown a lot of speed. This is going to be a big race right here for Watermelon Man. And as for the racing, my prediction is it is going to be decent. Now, is it going to be along the likes of COTA, Las Vegas, and Charlotte this season? No. I do not think it is going to be one of the better races this season. I think this race is going to be more comparable to Phoenix this year, just with more urgency, since this is the inaugural race, and more passes because of the track's length. And that is more reason to be hyped up about this event. World Wide Technology Raceway, this event is supposed to sell out. We're going to get at least 50,000 fans on site. It's a brand new market. It's a brand new track. The Enjoy Illinois 300 has the hype, and it is going to be something spectacular to watch this Sunday. So anyways, this is Nathan for NRF Productions signing out, and just remember, guys and gals, life's a beach and then you drive.